Today we meet as a group to consider our individual contribution to the glamour that becomes a group glamour of spiritual ambition that can be based on destiny, self-assurance, devotion, or pride in accomplishment, whether it's intellectual or community-wide. So we remember where we are in relation to knowledge itself and the evolution of the light from awareness of the light to the light that appears in the head, to the expansion of the light as it occurs along the path through the acquisition of knowledge grounded in love. And we experiment in group formation, and we study the effects as individuals and in group, and we note those effects in our experience. Over time, with examination, we can see that knowledge, love, and sacrifice are inextricably one in synthesis. And on the causal level, these vortices of light open and reveal the soul vehicle. And simultaneously, a great column of light known as the Antakarana grows in our consciousness, and eventually at the fourth initiation, when the egoic lotus, the causal body, is destroyed, the Antakarana is the method through which the soul connects to the lower vehicles that are then created. So we gather today to consider in silence the glamour that will focus on the individual component of the group glamour of spiritual pride in its many expressions. We must relinquish all sense of tension or of strain, and we must learn to work with pure faith and love. The less we feel, and the less we're preoccupied with our own feelings or sense of achievement or of non-achievement, the more probable it will be that the work will proceed with effectiveness and the glamour be slowly dispelled. There is no haste. That which is so ancient cannot be immediately dispelled, no matter how good our intention or how accurate our grasp of the needed technique. We aim for group unity to include all, reject none who are willing to take on this serious and very important work. And we do so by preserving a much needed humility. Master DK tells us in order to make the first step towards united group activity, especially world glamour, along this line of service, we're given this formula or group ritual which, if employed by those whose lives are relatively free from glamour, who are realists and who are recognized by the group as thus relatively free, and who are animated by good intent, we will do much to bring to an end certain aspects of the world glamour. So at the close of the ritual, this group ritual today, we'll have a review of what we looked at before in relation to group ambition and consider what can be articulated as aspects of a world glamour that we can work on in 2025. Our effort, combined with that of similar groups, will so weaken the power of these ancient glamours that the day of clarification will eventually come. So briefly, review for yourself how you define as an individual the way in which in this glamour of spiritual ambition captures you or trips you up or changes your destination, as it were. And ponder briefly upon this. So before we begin with the ritual, let's align as soul and as a group and see our group approaching imaginatively Master Dwalkul's study. We integrate soul and personality as individuals and see the personality and the soul as a unit. This is done through the dedication of the personality to the soul and its acceptance by the soul. These two lines of thinking produce a field of magnetic thought and realization in which all the work is done. Imaginatively, we face the group members eye to eye and establish a soul-to-soul connection in silence. Look at the list of participants and imagine each standing before you. See through the eye that leads to the soul. So withdrawing from personal and world affairs and centering on the work to be done, we set up a magnetic field of positive, receptive activity. And we breathe in effortlessly and easily as we visualize the group personality and group soul blended, moving together through the field of lotus blossoms, lining our path toward Master Dwalkul's study. We pause as he greets us at the door and invites us in. For we, as a group, support not only those members who attend, but those who are with us subjectively. We are aided by those who join us from the other side of the veil, and we connect as a group with all those endeavoring to dissipate glamour on behalf of humanity. We stand in silence and turn with the Master as he faces the east. Together we enter into this great point of light, this beam of directed, focused light, revealing the greater light and illumining the way to the center of the light that directs our way. We sound together as one. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. With soul light radiating throughout your aura and extending to the aura of the group as the primary force, we unite with the group soul. We have learned to assume the altitude as well as the attitude of the observer. So we use the sign of the cross of divinity, this great symbol of light and of consciousness, signifying the vertical light and the horizontal light, the power of attraction and the power of radiation, soul, life, and service, as we sound the protective formula. Touching the forehead as the soul, we work in light. Touching the center of the chest, and the darkness cannot touch us. Touching the left eye, we stand, we take our stand within the light. The right eye, we work, and from that point, we never move. With our practice, we're able to achieve this state of preparation easily and quickly. We've recognized the glamour to be dissipated. We've embodied our willingness to cooperate with the soul. And we've pondered on the implications of this glamour as it plays out in our lives. As we recognize the ways in which we each appear in group with a component of what can be called spiritual ambition, look at that from the attitude of the observer. Identify, if you can, a single word or an instance in which that attitude hindered the manifestation of group purpose and limited the effective service of the group. The distortions that come to mind will be individual, and yet these live in group formation when we bring them into group service, limiting the effectiveness of the group. Let us quickly focus the light, focusing the light of the mind and the light of matter in the mental vehicle, lifting up, blending and fusing, employing the creative imagination to the greatest extent that we can, each as individuals. And now carry this forward as a group, each of us making our contribution and consciously attempting to visualize the process of blending the triple light which each of us contributes into one sphere of light. We will meditate for a few minutes on soul light, bringing about the fusion of the light of matter, the light in the atoms of the brain, the light of the mind, and the light of the soul upon the mental plane. Note the purity of the light and the expansion each time we gather. This retained light and power, combined with the dual light of the personality, focused as we know on the mental plane, generates an intense light, visualized as a searchlight of great brilliance and strength. We must see a sphere of vivid, brilliant light, not yet radiating out or projecting outwards, but growing in strength and brilliance. This one unified light, affirming that it is ready to be turned in the needed direction, we say in unison, the light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day. We sound the Om as the group soul, the realized unity of the souls of all of our group members. Om. The light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day. We sound the Om as the soul upon the mental plane. Om. The light is one, and in that light shall we see light. This is the light that turns the darkness into day. We sound the Om as the soul ready to function as light bearer and distributor of light upon the astral plane. Om. Now we visualize all the will that we each have focused behind the light, thus created by the fusion of these three lights. And we hold the mind steady in the light with the use of the soul personality will, still quiescent, not yet dynamic, not yet magnetic or radiatory, as the light builds in intensity and the will brings purpose and intention to a new point of tension. We sound together the mantra of light as we visualize the turning of the great searchlight that we have jointly created by our unified light onto the glamour to be dissipated, holding the light steady and realizing mentally the work of dissipation that this act of direction is intended to do as we sound the mantra. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light, we work and turn the darkness into day. We bring the glamour, the individual glamour, the expression of what that spiritual ambition is in the context of group service. And we bring the searchlight of the mind into relationship with the glamour by the power of thought. The glamour and its quality and the searchlight and its power are recognized to be as they are, and the effect or effects to be brought about by that relationship are carefully thought out, done in a way that the mind process. The light and power will not strengthen the already powerful glamour. We do this in such a way that at the close of the process, the glamour will be appreciably weakened and eventually dissipated. Having achieved concentration, realization, and relationship, by an act of the will, using the creative imagination, we turn on the searchlight and see a vivid beam of light stream forth and pierce the glamour. Visualize the broad, brilliant beam pouring forth from the illumined mind onto the astral plane. Believe that this is so. On the beam, the destructive quality of the spiritual will, destructive to all that hinders the manifestation of divinity, carries forward a united point of tension, the dedication of the individual and the group will to the will of God. We carry this on silently with a deep realization that all are thus accepted, and it is the group will which is being silently focused. We say together, with power upon its beam, the light is focused on the goal. Now, as we approach an important and difficult phase of the work, we name the glamour and aid the process by saying with tension, the power of the light prevents the appearance of the glamour of individual pride and spiritual ambition in group service. The power of the light negates the quality of the glamour of individual pride and spiritual ambition in group service from affecting me. The power of the light destroys the life behind the glamour of individual pride and spiritual ambition in group service. Having affirmed with power and purpose and enunciated from a point of tension, the mind is held steady in the light and with a positive orientation. As we visualize the act of penetration, the gradual dissipation and dispersal of the glamour by the penetration of the light into the darkness, we endeavor for a period of about 5 minutes to see it disintegrating and the reality emerging, doing this by an effort of the creative imagination, each of us in our own way and according to our understanding and capacity. The light is seen accomplishing 3 things as we sound the sacred word. We see it making a definite impact upon the glamour. We see it penetrating the glamour and being absorbed by it. And we see it dissipating slowly. As time elapses, the glamour will never again be so powerful and will eventually disappear altogether. Sound a silent Om. What follows is a group withdrawal of its consciousness, and individually we withdraw our consciousness from our focus on the astral plane and the world of glamour. We refocus first on the mental plane, and then on the soul, relinquishing all thought of the glamour, knowing that the work has been successfully carried forward. Let us reorganize ourselves as a group in relation to the kingdom of souls and to each other. Occultly speaking, the searchlight of the soul is shut off, and this completes the act of withdrawal. We sound this Om in group formation. So let us pause. And as we have focused on individual work today, we will ask each of you to sound an Om alone. Om. So let it be, and help me in my own life to end all glamour and untruth. Do this individually as the chime sounds. So today, after we close this recording, we're going to take our first step toward considering what we may move forward with in 2025 as work on the dissipation of a world glamour. And this is a reminder for those of us who will be listening to or viewing this recording on YouTube that in order to do this work, Master DK tells us to follow this formula or group ritual, and that we are to make our lives as free from glamour as possible by using the individual glamour technique more regularly, that we are to be realists. And I think that for me, that means that we realize how long this is going to take, and it requires a great mental focus. And we recognize those in a group who are relatively free of glamour and who are animated by good intent. And that will do much to bring an end to certain aspects of the world glamour, knowing, of course, that we know that we will not be able to achieve that, but we will make a little dent possibly into that future work. So thank you, those who are listening, and those who are with us will continue with a discussion of how we will proceed.